Bubble has officially announced their new native mobile app builder at BubbleCon 24. In this video, I'm going to show you how it looks like inside the editor and what features we have on the beta version. Hi, I'm Caio Calderari from AutomationHelpers.com. We help companies like yours get automated and grow by using industry-leading tools to build portals, apps, integrations, and much more. Subscribe if you want to leverage tech to help your business grow. Now let's jump straight into Bubble so I can show you all the features on this new native mobile app builder. I'm inside Bubble here with my new application. This is a blank application, and just so you know, guys, this feature is still in beta, so they are releasing this for a couple users so they can test it and give feedback. And if you want to apply to also be one of the users testing it in the beta version, just go to their website at bubbleio/mobile, okay? And then sign up, and once they start releasing this and sending this to a couple more users, you also be able to test it on the beta version, or after they finish the beta and they will release this to everyone else, okay? Now I'm inside my Bubble editor here, and the first thing we can notice that changed is that under pages we have a new mobile views area. We have our web view pages, all the pages we have for the web version, and now we have mobile views. And here we can create the views, the mobile views, meaning we are going to have the web pages that we build for the web as usual, and now we are going to be able to build for mobile as well. And the way we are going to do it is through the mobile views. So if you want to create a new mobile view, we have to click here, and I can give this page a name and click create, and it will create a new mobile view for me, okay? Now, once we are inside a native mobile view, we can build our native app here, okay? We have this main area here with the stop safe area and some information replicating what we are going to see on our mobile devices. For instance, on an iPhone, we would see the clock here and some information about the cell phone, okay? So that's how we are going to use it, and we are going to build everything inside this area here. We have a top safe area and also a bottom safe area. And we have a lot of settings related to our page that we can change based on the type of page we want to build. And we are going to see more information about this in just a sec. But before we talk about the page itself, because the page has a lot of options and features we would use on a regular basis, I want to see all the visual elements we have to build our pages and our mobile views. So let's take a look at the visual elements we have available here so far. We have text, button, icon, image, shape, map, and we have a new one that is not available on the web version, which is called Web View. And I'm gonna use these components and add them to the page just in a second so we can test and see how they work exactly, okay? But before we do that, I'm gonna continue looking at the other components we have. Under containers, we have group, floating group, horizontal list, and we also have this component called sheet as well, which is very interesting as well. Hey, if you need help building a project or if you have any questions, we are here to assist. Visit our website at AutomationHelpers.com. We are offering free 30-minute consultation calls with our experts so you can make sure you can get your project done by professionals. Visit the link down below and make sure to book your call today. Now, I don't see a repeating group here. That's interesting. And we are going to see how we can create vertical lists if we want to. For horizontal lists, this is the component we would use for now. We have some elements for forms as well. We have the input, the multi-line input, the checkbox, the date and time picker, and of course, we can also create some reusable elements as well. And by the way, under the page settings here, we also have a new reusable component that comes out of the box that is called offline banner, and I believe this one is going to be used when your cell phone is offline or the person using your application is offline. It will kind of show this message indicating that yes, the internet connection is not available. So then the application, the native app you built will be using cached information. And I'm also going to talk a little bit more about offline features during this video. All right, now let's jump straight into the page so I can show you all the features related to the page itself. Okay, so once I click my page, I'm going to see some information here on the side. Okay, so we have the page title here. We also have a view title. This one can be different from the page name itself. And this information can be used in the top app bar, and I'm going to show you in a sec how that works. We also have some view types that can be scrollable, not scrollable, vertical list, and also section list. And we also have the show top bar feature here, so we can show or hide our app bar, which is going to be a native app bar. And we also have a show safe area option. So if you want to show the safe area or hide it, or show status bar as well, we can make this all go invisible, okay? Now, we also have an option to include this page as a tab item. What does that mean? If I check this option here, it will create a tab bar at the bottom of my application, and it will include this item here as an item on our tab bar. And once you create extra pages, you can check on the actual page you create if you want to include this item on the tab bar as well. So we are here on the home page, which is called example in this scenario here, and we have the tab bar that is showing the home page. Now, if I go to the other page I have here, which is called page example, and I click on the page, I can include this as a tab item. And what will happen is if I go back to my home page, it will show that exact page name here, okay? Now this title here, the icons, the colors, everything can be changed, okay? Now, if you click on the tab bar itself, you have a couple options here, so you can add new tab items, you can change the icons as well, and the colors for active icon, for inactive icon. You also can choose which page is going to be the destination when someone clicks on that specific link, and you can customize everything you want. If you want to customize one specific item, you can click on that specific item directly as well, and it will change the settings here. And you can change the label to something else or use dynamic data. So you have a lot of flexibility to change it. And you can also change the conditionals here to change the colors. So when you are on that specific page, this style can change, the colors can change, the icons can change, everything is very customizable. So we have this new component here. We don't have to drag this component to our page to make it visible. All we have to do is to come to our page and check this option either on or off. Now that I have more than one page active on the tab item, if I remove this page itself from the tab bar, I can still show the tab bar by clicking this option here, and then it will show the tab bar once again, but without the actual home page item. Okay, so I have full flexibility to choose when I want to show the tab bar, which items I want to show, and so on. So it's all very customizable and very interesting. Now, we have other options here on the page itself. So if we click here, it will show a top app bar. And this information here is the information that is going to be added here dynamically. And this information from the view title is the information that is going to show on our top app bar. If we preview our application, this is how it will look like. We have this title here, example, and here when it's rendering the page on the preview mode, it will show the information that comes from that page title. Now, since we are on the preview mode, let's talk a little bit about the preview. Here we have a quick preview that is web-based, but we can also preview our application using a native mobile app that was created by Bubble called bubbleio. You can install this application and then you can preview your pages and your applications on your mobile devices. Now, if you don't have this app installed, you can quickly use this preview as well. but it will not give you the same experience, and maybe some of the components will not work the same way as if they were rendered on an actual mobile device, okay? Now we have a couple options here on this preview. We don't have the debugger here. That's okay, that's normal. We have this option here to show or hide the cell phone we are using here, this model, which right now is the iPhone 14 and 15 Pro. And if we want to change the phone we are using, we can select various options here and it will automatically change, okay? So we have some iPhones, we have some Android phones as well, the Pixel Pro, and we also have some Samsung devices as well for the Android users. And notice that this information is changing now, and also the way the app bar is being displayed is also changing. And we have to remember that iOS devices are a little bit different from Android devices in terms of the UX and the UI as well. So some adaptations might be needed depending on the type of devices you are targeting with your native app, okay? Now, you also have some zoom options here. You can make it bigger, you can fit to your window height, and so on. So we have a decent previewer here that we can quickly use to visualize our pages, but I also recommend you go to the documentation, to the official documentation, and install bubbleio with the test flight for iOS. Right now, they only have this option for you to install on iOS devices, but they don't have an option for Android devices as I'm recording this video, but it will be available in the future, okay? Going back to the editor right now, we have a couple more features related to our page. So we have a couple options here. If we want to build a page that is going to be scrollable, that will have a lot of information that will not fit on a mobile device screen size, we will select this option. Once we start adding a lot of components here on our page, it will open the scroll bar. It will allow the users to scroll. Now, if we want to build a view that is not going to be scrollable, we are going to select this option. And if we want to create a list, because we don't have repeating groups as a component here we can add to our page, we want to select this option, vertical list. Once we select this option to create a vertical list, we are going to see this new component here under overlays, which is this vertical list, okay? Now, if we click here, this first item is the item we can change, and the other ones will repeat the same style. And here it's basically similar to a repeating group. We can add text here, we can add buttons, we can add anything really that we want to add, and we can customize how this component will behave and look like. And if we click on the component itself, we can change the style here to row, columns, and make sure we organize our components well enough. And we can continue customizing this component to make sure everything works well. We can click on the component itself, check all the settings here, all the information we have available, and we can click on the vertical list as well to change the appearance, to change the type of content, and bring information here from our database. So if we have a database, we can do a search for, and we can fetch some example data. And then once we load this application, it will show all the information coming from our database. Once you preview your application, this is how it will look like. We will have a list component pulling information from our database. You can customize the design to fit your specific project needs. And we can also add other features here. For instance, if we go back here to our page, I'm going to remove this button here. And once we click on the list item itself, we can see we have a couple icons here to add a few items. We can add items from here, or we can also click these icons here to add leading swipe actions or trailing swipe actions. So we are going to go ahead and click here to add a new item here. And now I can configure the icon that I want to use, the primary color, the icon size, the background style, and the background color as well. And I also have an option here to open the swipe action editor as well. Once I click this button, it will expose the button itself, and here I can add workflow actions to open a page, to delete this item from my database. I can do anything I want. Now, if I also click here, I can add more items on the right as well. Now I can change the icon to something else. I can change the color here. And once I click here as well, I can go to the item itself, because right now it's on the list A, and it will bring me specifically to this button here that I just created. And here I can change all the settings that I want and even add some workflows as well. Now, if we go back to the preview, we can see now that if I swipe here, it will show this button here. Or if I swipe to the other direction, it will show this item here. And I don't have to create this animation or anything. This comes native out of the box. Now I have another option here that if I keep adding more items, let's say I add a new one here next to this one, I can change the icon to something else, change the color as well. Now if I preview it again, it will show the two options together. And once I have more than one option, it will stop. So I can select either this first option or this second option as well. If it's just one option, it will consider this as a full swipe and it will not stop. But if I have more than two items, it will stop. And then if I click here, it will trigger the workflow if there is any workflow created for this specific action, which is pretty interesting. And that's how the vertical list page layout works. We have other options here. If we click on the components itself, it will show all the items added here. I can add workflows to the item itself or to specific items if I open them specifically. And so I recommend you go to Bubble and play with all these settings. Here we have this option, allow full swipe action, that applies to the first action on the list. So if you full swipe, it will only trigger this first item. Now, on top of this page, we can start adding other components. We have this app bar, which is here. We have the tab bar, which is at the bottom. We can always access these components by clicking on top of them here. So it's interesting to just play around and see all the options available for each component so we can customize them. And if I want to add new components to my page, for instance, if I want to add this sheet component, I can bring this to my page, and this will work similarly to a pop-up on the web version. Hey my friend, are you enjoying this content so far? If so, click the like button down below, and also consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Once I add this component to my page, it will be visible, but if I click away, it will no longer be visible. It will be hidden by default. And if I want to see it again, then I can click here on the eye icon and I will see it again. Now, if I want to add something inside this, I can drag it here, add a text, a button, anything I want. Here, for instance, I can type example. I can change the font style to this one so it's a little bit more visible. I can add some paddings around so it's not all together. And here I can say something like close. And here I can change the text to close. And now if I preview this, it will not show the sheet component by default because it's hidden. Now what I can do, for instance, is to use some of these buttons here. Let's say I want to create like a delete action. Of course, this is just a visual example. It's not actually going to delete anything on our database. But let's say I just want to use this to delete the item. And then I go to the workflows. I create all the workflows to actually do that and delete that specific item on the database. And then what I can do after that is to use this option, element actions, show an element. And then here I can select the sheet item. Now, if I preview my application, once I full swipe, it will trigger the workflow and will open the sheet. Now, the sheet can be closed by itself. So the user can just move it to the bottom and it will close, or it will dismiss the sheet. But I can also create a workflow action to actually close it by clicking on this button. So if I want to do that, I can come back to my application. I can click this button here, create a new workflow. And then here on element actions, I can choose to hide an element and choose the same item, which is called sheet A. Now, if I go to the preview again, if I full swipe this, it will open the sheet. And then if I click here, it will close. So this is a nice example of how this works. We also have another component, which is the web view. Let's create a new page here so I can show you how it works. Web view. Once I've created a new page, we can grab the web view component here so we can add this component to our page. Once I add it to my page, it will show right away as a full screen component that fills up the entire page. And now I can see here that it's pulling the index page. Okay, so the web view component can be used to display existing pages you have under your web version here on your native mobile apps. So the web view component, the way it works is it will be displaying any specific page you have on the web version of your application on the native mobile app version, on the mobile view. So you can use this component to display pages that you have on your application on your native mobile app, okay? So let's say I have here the index page. If I happen to add a button here, maybe an icon, anything, just so we can see here how it works. If I go back to my web view, this is the information that I'm gonna see. So it's basically a mirror that is showing my index page on the mobile view, okay? So of course, if you wanna show your index page from the web version on your native mobile app, make sure that you build something that is fully responsive so it can adapt to different mobile device sizes as well, okay? So that's how the web view works. We have the destination page here, which is right now the index page. If I choose another page, it will change and then it will show a different page here I have on my project. So I can use this to send information from one page to another if needed. And I can even click here to add other parameters that I want to send and share across different pages, okay? Now this is the web view components. Let's take a look at some other components we also have available here. So I'm gonna create a new page. This one is gonna be called list. And here under view type, we saw the vertical list, but we also have a section list, which is basically the same type of list, but this one has a different option here that you can use to define a section header. So it's basically the same idea. It's kind of a repeating group, but with a section header and repeating section headers. So we have one extra component we can customize here and add dynamic data or anything else we want to add. And the rest is the same as I showed you before on the vertical list type of page. Okay, so we have these two options, and these two options can be used whenever we want to show items on a vertical list, similar to a repeating group. Now, in case we don't want to use this type of page layout, we want to build something different, we will go with the scrollable or not scrollable. If we go with the scrollable here, let's say we want to add a horizontal list, then we can use this component here, which is this horizontal list component. We can draw it on a page and it will come like this by default. We have here something also similar to a repeating group. This first item is the master and the other ones are replicating whatever we create here. So let's say I delete this item here. Here I can click on the horizontal list itself. I can define the data type that I want to use. In this case, we have this example database I can do a search for and bring all the data here so we can populate this item. And here I can add dynamic information that can be current items, example, and test. And then once I preview this, it will show exactly like this. It will show a scroll bar here, and it will load all the items that I have on the database. Now, I don't know if this scroll bar will be visible on a mobile device or if it's only visible on the web preview. That's something that I don't know yet, but I would love to test it and see how it looks like on the actual mobile device, and I hope it's not showing the scroll bar. So this is how you can use this component. You can configure all the settings as usual, change the layout options and everything else. We have the group component, which is similar, the floating group, which is also the same. We saw the sheet already, and we also have some input fields. These are normal input fields. We can even add some margins on the left or right on our page in case we want to use this on a global way. Another thing we can do on our page is to change the padding on a global level. So here we only have options to add paddings to the left or right. And we can also change the default view size. We can use different types of devices. It will change the page size based on the type of device we select. That could be helpful for you to visualize how your layouts will work on specific types of devices, and you can even target specific Android devices. The information here will change a little bit. If you want to use the Galaxy options as well, the Samsung phones. These ones are Google phones and these ones are Samsung phones. So you have a lot of options to choose from. And one interesting thing here is that once you select the Show Top App Bar option, if you are on an Android device, the style here will change to the left. And if you are on the iOS or iPhone options here, it will show in the middle. But if you click here, you can change these options here. You can change the title, which right now is a dynamic value that is pulling this information from the view title. But you can change this or add extra information. And here you have the title style for the iOS, which is center, or it could be also this option, which is the large. And for the Android, you have another option that can be center or left as well. So, and you can change the title color as well, show the border, the back button if you need to. So once you preview it, you can see we have a back button that goes to the home page. In this case, it's called example. And we have the page name, which is list right now. And we can choose to show the back button or not. We can override the back button label as well. And here we can also add leading buttons or trailing buttons as well. So if we add extra buttons, they will show on the sides as well. So on the iOS devices, these buttons will be displayed here. We can add icons, and we can also change, for instance, if we are on the Android style, for instance, if we go here on the preview and change, it will change to the Android style, which right now is on the left. Now, if we go here and change the style to be center and center here, it will look similar between iPhones and Android devices. So it's up to you to define how the app bar will work and behave in different types of devices. And the date picker and time picker, once I preview my page on the web version, is not visible right now, but I know they are working on a new one and a native one that is going to work for iOS and Android. Again, guys, this is still in beta, so they are still working on a lot of things. Things might break, there are some bugs. That's all normal and expected because it's still in beta. Now, if I haven't mentioned about anything you want to know, let me know here in the comment section down below. And let me know also if you are using these features already, which kinds of apps are you planning to build or already building, and what's your opinion about it in general? Did you like it? Is there anything missing? What is your overall experience while using the new native mobile app builder inside Bubble? Another nice thing we can do while building native mobile apps inside Bubble is to tap into the native features from our phone. It will be possible to access the camera from your device. It will also be possible to send push notifications and also use GPS features from your device. Now, the only feature out of these three that I mentioned that is currently available as I'm recording this video is the camera features, okay? So right now I'm gonna show you how it works. If I add a button here, for instance, and I say access camera, for instance, I can add a new workflow, and once I add a new action, I now have this option available called native mobile. And this option will allow me to do two things. The first one is I can open the camera library from the user to pick an existing photo or image they already have, or I can choose to open the camera itself. If I choose this option, the next step has to be to store this information on our database. So I can click here and then create a data things, create a new thing, and then I can choose my database of choice. And then here I should have a field, and then I can use the result of step 1, which is the open camera step we've created here. And this will fetch the image the person took, the photo they took using their camera. And then it will store this information on our database. So that's how you use the camera on your native app. Now, the other features are still not available. If they are at some point, I can bring you future videos and show you how it works. I'm very curious to know what you are going to build next. So also let me know in the comment section down below, what types of apps are you planning to build with the new native app builder inside Bubble? I really hope you liked this overview on the new native mobile app builder inside Bubble. And if you did, click the like button down below. And also subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Now, if you want to learn everything about the new native mobile app builder, I recommend you go to their official documentation. They have a lot of information about how you can publish your apps to the app stores and a lot more extra information that might be helpful for you while building with Bubble. The link's gonna be available down below. We also have a map component. If we add a map to our page, it will show a map. We can customize it here. And of course, as always, when using map, you have to set up your Google API key and configure everything to make sure your maps will be working properly. And if you don't want to use Google's Maps on iOS devices, you can check this option here to use Apple Maps on iOS. Okay, that's an option for you. The good news is that the Bubble team is always creating new components, improving the features available. And right now, the way the offline features will work is this. If you load your application using internet connection and you lose internet connection, everything that was previously loaded will still work and be visible, but you won't be able to visualize new information coming from the database because you're going to be offline. So there is no communication between your offline app and your database, and it will not store in case someone is adding a new item to the database and the internet goes offline, then it will not store this new information on the database. So there is no resource that will kind of store this information locally, and once the internet is back, it will add this information on the database. Right now, there is no such feature, but they plan to add this maybe next year, okay? So right now, the only option available, the only feature available is once everything is loaded, it will continue to be visible even if you go offline, but that's it. It's only gonna be visually showing the information that is stored locally, but it won't bring new information or add new information to your application while you are offline. only once you are back online, okay? So that's how it will work. And I believe this reusable component here, since it's not available for you to drag it on top of the page, this is going to be automatically visible once a person is offline, and it will probably be added on top of your application. Now, if you want to change how it looks like, then you can go to this component and change the design here. But I'm assuming, I might be wrong, that you don't actually need to add this to your page. It will automatically show. And all you can do is to customize the design and how it will look like. Another useful information is about how you can link different mobile views. For instance, I have a button here. If I go to my workflows here, I can add a navigation option, which can be go to view. Once I select this option here, I can select the page that will be visible once I click that button, but I have two options here. It could be stack or modal, meaning depending on the options that I select here, the navigation will be a little bit different. So right now I've selected modal, and so if I click here to view the page, it will open like this. And if I select stack, it will load in a different way. And right now, all the animations are available inside the components itself, so you don't have room to change how the animations will work, but in the future, they plan to add more animations and more features and more components as well. Hey, if you need help building a project, or if you have any questions, we are here to assist. Visit our website at automationhelpers.com. We are offering free 30-minute consultation calls with our experts, so you can make sure you can get your project done by professionals. Visit the link down below and make sure to book your call today. Now, if you want to keep learning more about tech and automation, we have a lot more content for you here on the channel. So make sure to keep watching more amazing content we've prepared just for you. And let's automate your business.